Hello, my name is Beth Cudney, and it's my pleasure to provide this keynote speech for the Second World Conference on Recycling and Waste Management. In this presentation, I would like to present a framework for integrating lean and sustainability that was developed by my colleagues, Dr. Sandy Ferderer, Dr. Chad Laugs, Dr. Gaganpreet Handal, and myself. So during this presentation, I want to focus on how to integrate lean principles and sustainability because it really offers companies cost savings, environmental impact reduction, and improved customer satisfaction. By combining lean and sustainability, it also enhances long-term viability, risk mitigation, regulatory compliance, and competitive advantages for organization. So by combining these approaches, companies can operate more efficiently, reduce waste, and align economic and environmental goals. This all results in a more sustainable and resilient business model. So why lean? Lean is really all about eliminating waste. Lean is a widely used methodology that focuses on eliminating waste within organizations. There was a recent study that noted that approximately 70% of manufacturing organizations are using some form of lean or a lean tool. So lean is already a widely used business strategy that aligns well with sustainability. So here we're not adding another business strategy, but instead we're enhancing a current business strategy for most organizations. And when we combine lean with sustainability, that alignment offers efficiency, cost savings, environmental impact reduction, customer satisfaction, risk mitigation, long-term viability, regulatory compliance, and that competitive advantage, which again results in a more sustainable and competitive business model. So really, what is lean? If you're not familiar with lean is really a methodology and a philosophy. We won't go into the details here about the various lean tools and techniques such as value stream mapping, Kanban, Kaizen, pull systems, and so on. But we'll focus more on kind of that higher level overview of what lean is and how to integrate lean with sustainability. But I do want to talk a bit about what lean is. And lean is really a very systematic approach to management that focuses on minimizing waste and maximizing value in processes. Value is what the customer is willing to pay for, right? They're buying a product or getting a service because of some value, and that's what they're willing to pay for. Lean originated in manufacturing with the Toyota production system, but since then it's been applied to really a wide variety of industries. Lean has been successfully used in service, healthcare, and government organizations. So there's also a couple of key principles of lean that include eliminating non-value-added activities, optimizing workflow, reducing inventory, and continuously improving processes. So with that, lean really aims to enhance efficiency, quality, and customer satisfaction, all while reducing cost to the organization. So lean also has 5 principles that are their basis, and these 5 principles were developed by Womack and Jones in 1996. These 5 principles include specify value, identify the value stream, create flow, pull, and continuous improvement. So let's talk a little bit more about each of those. When we talk about value, that's what the customer is willing to pay for. They're buying a product because of the value it offers to that customer. So when we talk about specify value, this is really reflecting the value that's derived by the end customer of that product or service. So the greater the value, the higher the customer satisfaction, and the higher the customer loyalty levels. The next step is identifying the value stream. Here, the organization must identify the value stream steps and know what the customer values so that it can maintain what brings value to the customer while eliminating the waste and reducing costs to the customer, all while maximizing profit. The third step, once we've eliminated that waste, is to take what's left that adds value to the customer and make sure that value flows. So we want our products and our services to really flow through those remaining value-added steps in an integrated sequence. So at this point, we've got a process that only has the value-added steps within the process. And that leads us to the fourth step of pull. So at this point, we want to enable the system to only produce based on an actual pull from the customer. What that means is we only want to create products or deliver services when they're needed by the customer. That way we're eliminating work in process and our inventory. And then the final step is continuous improvement. With Lean, we're always driving to improve our processes, our products, and our services. So this last step is understanding that this is a cyclical aspect when we talk about Lean. We're always seeking for perfection or improvement. What we do today, we're going to do even better tomorrow. So now let's kind of flip this over and look at why sustainability. Well, we've really reached a point where our actions and our activities as individuals and really as organizations have led us to 5 significant phenomena that are occurring. These are extinction, global warming, lifestyle diseases, pollution, and resource scarcity. Now, there's a lot of literature and a lot of studies that have talked about where we're at. I'm going to focus on a 2019 study by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. They performed a global assessment report on biodiversity and ecosystem services. And again, this is in 2019. And this report stated that around 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, many within decades, more than ever before in human history. So I'm going to pause and kind of let that sink in of where we're at. Now, another key aspect of this or fact is, let's look at kind of more recently, since 1980, greenhouse gas emissions have doubled, and the average global temperatures have increased by at least 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.7 degrees Celsius. So not only do organizations, but do us as individuals really have to focus on sustainability and understand how our actions are infecting really the health of the planet. So let's dive in a little bit more to what is sustainability. So sustainability has been a topic that's been talked about for decades, and probably the most prevalent really definition of what sustainability is comes from 1987 and the Brundtland Commission from the United Nations Commission on Sustainable Development. And they define sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So when we talk about integrating lean and sustainability, we need to understand that what we're going to do presently so we're not impacting future generations. Another key aspect of sustainability are the 5 R's. Now, you're probably pretty familiar already with the traditional 3 R's of reduce, reuse, and recycle. When we talk about sustainability, the 5 R's of sustainability is really just an extended version of the traditional 3 R's, but it's added in 2 additional R's of refuse and reflect that promote sustainability and sustainability efforts. So let's start with the first R of refuse. And there's a reason, and I'll talk about these as we go through these. These R's are all presented in a specific order. So the first R of refuse, this is saying no as an organization, as an individual, to using materials, processes, energy, or equipment that's not sustainable or environmentally friendly. So ideally, we just say no. Now, that doesn't always work. And when it doesn't work, that leads us to our second R. And our second R is reflect or sometimes rethink. So now we have to use that material, that process, or that energy. But now let's rethink or reflect on what are those alternatives that we can use and identify sustainable and environmentally friendly processes as those alternatives to our processes, products, and our service delivery. So once we get to that second R, if we can't think of other alternatives, then that leads us to our third R, which is reduce. In reduce, we're really focusing on reducing the amount of materials, equipment, and overproduction by focusing on efficiency and productivity practices. That leads us to the fourth R, which is reusing materials. So we've reduced our materials by as much as possible. We've looked for alternatives. In the fourth step, we want to make sure that whatever materials, equipment, facilities, and energy sources that we're using, we want to reuse them as much as possible so that we're not disposing of them after single use. That gets us to the fifth R, and if our first four actions can't be taken, then we want to make sure organizations and us as individuals are recycling materials either internally or externally so that we're keeping them out of landfills. So let's talk a bit more then about sustainability. Sustainability has three pillars or components or principles. These were developed by Elkington in 1994, and these consist of environmental or ecological, economic, and social factors. Sometimes you'll also hear the three pillars of sustainability referred to as the triple bottom line. And it's really a framework that emphasizes the interconnected nature of environmental, social, and economic considerations in our decision-making, and also in our planning for a more sustainable future. So let's talk a little bit about the environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability focuses on the responsible use and preservation of natural resources and protecting our ecosystems. Environmental sustainability emphasizes reducing the negative impact of human activities on the environment and promoting practices that help maintain the planet's health. There's a couple of key aspects when we're talking about environmental sustainability, and those include resource conservation, biodiversity conservation, pollution reduction, and renewable energy. So let's talk first about resource conservation. Resource conservation is efficiently using resources such as water, energy, and raw materials so that we can minimize waste and environmental degradation. When we talk about biodiversity conservation, this focuses on protecting and preserving the diversity of plant and animal species and also their habitats. Pollution reduction is minimizing pollution and emissions to prevent harm to air, water, and soil quality. And then finally, renewable energy is transitioning to cleaner, renewable sources of energy so that we can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. The second pillar is social sustainability. Social sustainability focuses on improving the quality of life and well-being of individuals and communities. Social sustainability addresses the equitable distribution of resources, social inclusion, and the protection of human rights. So again, here we have a couple of key aspects. When we look at social sustainability, it includes equality and equity, community engagement, health and education, and safe and healthy working environments. So let's look first at equality and equity. Equality and equity is the promotion of equal opportunities and social justice so that we're ensuring that no one is left behind and no one is marginalized. When we talk about community engagement, this focuses on involving communities in decision-making processes that affect them and also respecting the cultural values and heritage of that community. When we look at health and education, this is ensuring access to quality healthcare and quality education for all. This is really important because it contributes to better living conditions and opportunities for all. So finally, let's talk about safe and healthy working conditions when we're talking about our social sustainability. Safe and healthy working conditions really focuses on providing safe workplaces and fair labor practices. And this includes fair wages and job security. The third and final pillar is economic sustainability. Economic sustainability focuses on maintaining and enhancing the long-term economic vitality and stability of a society. Economic sustainability emphasizes responsible economic growth, resource management, and financial stability. So again, with this pillar, there's a couple of key aspects for economic sustainability, and this includes efficient resource allocation, innovation and adaptation, ethical business practices, and financial viability. When we talk about efficient resource allocation, this focuses on allocating resources efficiently so that we're minimizing waste and promoting long-term economic stability. For innovation and adaptation, this encourages organizations to address changing economic and market conditions. When we talk about ethical business practices, these promote ethical business behavior, including fair trade, responsible investments, and corporate social responsibility. Finally, when we talk about financial viability, this helps to ensure that our economic activities and our businesses are financially viable and they're not dependent on short-term gains at the expense of long-term stability. So these three pillars of social, economic, and environmental are all interconnected and they're interdependent. Achieving sustainability requires a balanced approach that considers the environmental, social, and economic aspects all simultaneously. Businesses, governments, and individuals must really work together to find solutions that meet the needs, again, of the present, back to our definition of sustainability, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So taking this a step further, the United Nations used these three pillars of sustainability in 2012 to develop the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These 17 Sustainable Development Goals aim to promote sustained economic growth, ensure access to affordable and sustainable energy, build resilient infrastructure, and provide productive workplace environments. Now, it's really interesting to note that these 17 Sustainable Development Goals encompass 169 associated targets that have a goal of achievement by 2030. Now, this is a pretty lofty goal. The targets that are associated with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are very encouraging. However, organizations really need more detail regarding the theoretical foundations and metrics so that they can drive sustainability initiatives. One of the world's leading experts on sustainability is Willy van den Brand. And he made a very interesting note that large global organizations are more actively engaged in sustainability efforts than small and medium-sized enterprises. And that while small and medium-sized enterprises understand sustainability and kind of the theory behind it as an environmental issue, they focus mainly on avoiding environmental violations and their costs. Part of this issue is because there's not a roadmap. And for these smaller organizations to have the resources and the know-how, and again, that framework or roadmap is necessary. This is what really led us to the framework that was developed by my colleagues, Dr. Sandy Ferderer, Dr. Chad Laux, Dr. Gaganpreet Handal, and myself, to integrate lean and sustainability. Now, I won't go through this framework in a terrible amount of detail for the sake of time, but I want to focus on kind of a higher level overview of the framework that starts by integrating the sustainability and lean methodologies. And it's focused around Deming's Plan, Do, Check, Act methodology, which is used frequently in lean improvement efforts to guide how to develop and implement improvements. So we're linking this Plan, Do, Check, Act, or PDCA cycle with the 5 R's of sustainability. And organizations can use the 5 R's in a cyclical and circular fashion that's aligned to PDCA. So let's dive into each of these steps in a little bit more detail. When we do this, the heart of the framework that we've proposed is that the method that's combined Deming's Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle with the 5 R's. So when we look at Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, we're aligning that with refuse, reflect, reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we're going to link this back to Deming's Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. So let's start with the plan phase. When we look at the plan phase, this is where organizations should be using refuse and reflect elements along with the green culture as part of their planning of their improvement efforts. This is where you're scoping process improvement projects, or you're designing products, processes, equipments, and facilities. One of the key aspects of the plan phase is also, again, focusing on developing that green culture, which aligns nicely with the lean culture. And when we look at the lean tools and principles, they align nicely with reducing waste by supporting more efficient processes. So we're focusing on productivity while eliminating rework and scrap in our processes. So one of the things is we note here with the planning phase, as we're getting ready to start into a lean sustainable project, there's quite a few sustainability tools. So if we focus on the ISO guidelines, the ISO guidelines take a look at sustainable procurement, how we're acquiring our materials. We're also looking at eco design, energy design. So taking in our sustainability tools while also focusing on some of the higher level lean tools such as value stream mapping, mistake proofing, project selection, Hoshin Conry, our strategic planning, and our Gemba walk going out to where the processes are actually occurring. The next phase is the do phase. When we talk about the do phase, our focus is on reducing waste. So reducing waste is part of sustainability, but then also obviously part of lean. So our lean principles really focus on the value chain, flow and pull, so that we're eliminating waste and taking those steps that add value and flowing them through the processes. When we talk about our sustainability tools, this is renewable energy, recycling, waste reduction. And here in the do phase, we've got quite a few lean tools because this is where we're actually focusing on reducing and eliminating the waste. So our lean tools and principles align very nicely with reducing waste by supporting more efficient productivity and focusing on eliminating rework and scrap in our processes. These are all activities that organizations are commonly performing in this step or the do phase of Plan, Do, Check, Act, because this is where organizations are focusing on reducing the waste, right? This is where organizations are implementing improvements and taking actions. So many of our lean tools apply. The next step is the check cycle. When we talk about the check cycle, the focus is on reuse. So we're checking to see what happened. We're checking to see if we're reusing our products, our processes, our equipment, our facilities, right? So here, organizations should verify that the waste is eliminated and reduced in our do phase. So with our lean principles, this is all about our continuous improvement with perfection. From a sustainability perspective, this also goes back to ISO, which is our life cycle assessment. Within a lean perspective, this is where we're going out, we're using visual management, we're going to the Gemba, where the process is actually happening, right? So organizations are verifying that they're reusing materials by performing a check. The next phase is the act phase. This is where organizations should address recycling. In the act phase, this is where teams are rolling out improvements more permanently, and those materials, equipment, and facility components can be recycled so that we're being kind to the environment. So when we talk about the lean principles, this is, again, perfection, continuous improvement. When we look at sustainability, there's, again, more ISO standards where we're looking at end of waste statute, our carbon footprint of the product, our water footprint, right? We could also tie in remote communication technologies, our transportation, shipping, and logistics that all add to waste that impacts the environment, and our end-of-life treatment, again, back to whether or not we're recycling. This ties in nicely with our lean tools, like our control plans, value stream mapping, our standard work, which is a lean form of standard operating procedures, our 5S, the 5th S of sustain, our Hoshin-Conry, which is strategic planning, and our Gemba, which is, again, going out and seeing where the process is happening. Okay. So here again, our lean and sustainability principles align nicely and support each other well. Right? A key focus here is on sustaining and maintaining the improvements. So our tools around standard work and control plans are very, very appropriate. So I hope you found this as a very useful presentation. Within our integrated sustainability framework, our lean green sustainability framework that we've proposed really guides practitioners in incorporating both lean and sustainable principles, practices, and tools within their organizations. So our proposed framework aids by providing a roadmap so that it can advance not only lean, but also sustainability within organizations. So our goal is to fill that gap between the theory and the practice and that how-to. So I want to take this time to really thank you for your attention. If you have any questions about our presentation and our work, please reach out to me. And as part of this effort, as I mentioned, this is a combined effort between Dr. Sandy Furterer, Dr. Chad Laux, Dr. Gaganpreet Handal, and myself. While we've covered more of the high-level framework in this presentation, we have a book on lean sustainability that dives into not only the framework, but each of the individual lean tools and how to integrate sustainability practices in those tools so that when you're using tools like value stream mapping, 5S, Hoshin-Conry, SMED, single minute exchange of dyes, total projective maintenance, we've integrated sustainability into each of those tools to, again, help provide organizations with more of that know-how and that practical application to take the theoretical sustainability aspects into hands-on applications to help their own organization and hopefully as a whole planet Earth so that we can all become more sustainable together. So thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to give this keynote. Thank you very much.